Well, a quick look now at the morning's papers with entrepreneur Kate Hardcastle and broadcaster and writer Gemma Forte. Right now, we have Kate with us. Gemma will be joining us very shortly. Kate, good morning to you. Look at you, it's bright and early, and you are looking absolutely gorgeous this morning. Let's just head...
Oh, Vanessa.
Hey, you know, we like to try, don't we? So let's just get straight into the story here that we're going to look at. The front page of The Observer. Now, tucked to the right-hand side of it, their ministers face legal threats over net zero policy failure. Just tell us a little bit more about what this is all about.
I think this is a fascinating story. Obviously, we've got a lot to talk about in this morning's news, but we've just heard that the High Seas Treaty has been agreed, and that's something the UN have been working on for a long time. The idea those areas of seas that aren't governed actually now are going to have some protection. And I think when we hear news like that, which should be celebrated, it's then quite challenging to hit our own headlines and find that we are woefully behind in terms of the commitments that have been made. Now, I'm going to take you right back to 2019 when we heard we'd made that net zero pledge. It was ambitious. It was going to need all government departments to work together on this. And yes, we've had the pandemic, we've had the cost of living crisis, etc., etc. But we've got to think about a government that should be able to deliver to us across everything we need. And we know climate change is significant. The Observer goes into quite a large article, everything from touching upon how Liz Truss was trying to rewind a lot of this. Do you remember she talked about farmers' fields not being full, it shouldn't be full of solar-powered opportunities, that the solar powered panels that help to get the energy through. But I think we've just got so many obvious wins. If you take a look at anything where our climate's affected, you know, something like the 7 million tons of food we waste each year as a nation, I think you start to then go into the recycling, go into the purchasing, go into the information that consumers get. There are so many things that we can do. It doesn't have to always be these stretch targets that seem impossible to reach and need significant investment. I think there's a long way to go. Refocus needs to be there, and we should keep people in a job who are interested in actually delivering on that. So it's going to be interesting. We had Boris Johnson bolstering our Prime Minister at the time at COP26 in Glasgow. We had the on and off with Rishi at COP27, COP being the big kind of meeting of minds when it comes to the world's commitment to climate change. Rishi wasn't going to go, Rishi Sunak, our Prime Minister. Then Boris intervened and said he was going to go. So there's almost embarrassment, and Rishi Sunak had to turn up. We've got COP28 on the horizon, October, November. I want to understand what we're doing prior to the announcements we make there, because I think it's simply put, Vanessa, how can we go and lecture to the rest of the world when we're failing our own commitments so vastly?
Absolutely, absolutely. Very good point, well made there. And actually, you mentioned there keeping people in work. So let's talk about the health of the people in work, Kate. Looking at the Sunday Times there, then the front page, health checks for staff to keep the nation in work. I mean, in theory, it's a fantastic idea, but how does it work in practice?
Sounds a bit Big Brother and a little bit interfering from the headlines. But again, if you read deeper into the story, this potentially could be a great help for the colleagues, the workers themselves, because it's about identifying potential underlying problems in advance, so blood pressure checks, BMIs, etc. But this is something that is often regularly offered up to colleagues within larger organisations. So it's particularly looking into those small to medium-sized enterprises and understanding if there's that potential there of giving them a funded or largely funded scheme that will allow them to access these health checks for the workers and support that comes after that. It's not literally just the check of how you're doing health-wise, but actually the follow-up then and supporting you. And of course, a lot of this comes off the back that we saw many people leave the workforce around COVID. 630,000 adults of working age disappeared from that workforce. So there are other measures mentioned in this article. I mean, one of them particularly that affects hospitality and the retail industry is the access to workers, foreign workers, and how there's going to be an easing of that to allow more fluidity there, because we know those sectors, construction too, have been massively impacted with the flow of workforce. But I think it's that having a look at the opportunity of how we get people to be happy in their workplace, happy in the opportunities they've got, and also to try and make it seem as if there is that support there for small and medium businesses that many have been hit significantly since the pandemic. And I think any help and access there is going to be hugely beneficial.
And Kate, it's interesting actually just looking at that little animation within that story that we're talking about. Those little cartoons, they always make you chuckle, don't they? So with that, talk about the man Harry. Let's talk a little bit further about him then, shall we? Let's go to the front page of the Sunday People there. The headline, Harry sharing my traumas, acts of service. I mean, what do you make of Prince Harry's latest revelations? I mean, a lot of it we already kind of knew, didn't we, from his book. What do you make of this latest one?
Prince Harry's dominating on most of the front pages today, and the story's been dissected, but generally talking about, you're quite right, Vanessa, maybe elements that we've heard before. But one thing he has stated is the more that he's criticised, the more he's going to feel the need to share. So be prepared to hear more. The cartoon you mentioned was the idea that someone perhaps was fatigued of listening to Harry's words a little bit too much. And I've got to talk to the person here, because I have seen in a private, charitable environment, both Prince William and Prince Harry spend time with no cameras there, no press there whatsoever, with young people facing challenges in life. And they both were fantastic. Personable, honest, supportive, real human beings. And it's impossible for me to see that and witness that on several occasions and then feel that I must be critical of people that have expressed to other young people the challenges that they've faced. It doesn't almost seem real. I don't believe in any family having a pure and perfection type setup. I don't think anyone is without their problems, without their issues. And I would hate to feel that my family's issues were spread on the front pages. Now, I know that we understand that due to the opportunities given through the documentaries, the book, etc., that Prince Harry and Meghan have chosen, have selected this route. And I think what they're trying to say here, Harry's trying to say here, is that if he shares some of the worries and challenges that he's faced, that challenge with his family, his mum dying, etc., maybe he can help others. And obviously there's quite the challenge back here on the front page that says that he's deluded. I don't think that's delusional. I think sharing is helpful.
Yes, I was going to pick up on that one. I think some people may take a bit of a view on that. But I mean, the headline there, as he says, sharing my trauma is acts of service. Do you feel helped by him sharing his views there?
I feel saddened. I feel really saddened because I don't want to see this pain exposed on such a regular basis. But I understand people's need to talk. I understand that for every private person, there's someone who will feel encouraged and supported in the issues that feel challenging. Perhaps there's some areas that Harry's discussing, particularly on the use of drugs, etc., where people feel maybe there's taboos and they can't talk. We can't speak for everyone. We don't know how this might be affecting people. People have certainly been helped by him over the years. And I think actually that honesty, that change of tack, he is his own person. He is allowed to do that. It's not for us to judge and say whether we feel that it is right for him to comment about his life, his experience.
Absolutely.
What it is right for us to say is whether we want to hear it or not. And we have a big choice. We can switch off the television, the radio. We cannot buy the book. We cannot buy the newspaper. So I think we have choices that will actually dip this. But if you actually look at the viewing figures, that Netflix documentary was the highest rated. The audience figures were massive. So it's clear that as well as people feeling helped, I think there's an insatiable need to find out more on this. Yeah.
Kate, thank you very much. Don't go too far because we'll have you back in the next hour and we'll try and get Gemma Fortier as well to join us. Don't go too far. We'll see you after this break.